In this tutorial, we're going to look at adding one final detail to our beams after the last unwrap. It's this little thread that's going to go on one of the struts. So we've just added a little box with some noise and a turbo smooth at the bottom just to shape it and give it a little bit of bow, which will hopefully make it look like it's being pulled and twisted over time. But a thread is something that always used to bug me when I first started out, especially when I was at university. And luckily I've gradually found out a simple way of making it from a helix spline. So I'm sure you've all had a play with editable splines before. You can create a helix and you can basically tell it what height you want it to be, how many turns is needed, the inside, the bottom radius, the top radius. It's quite a handy little tool. You can also have the bias, so you can push it more one way or the other if you wanted to make some more sort of crazy organic shapes. Could be quite cool, but we'll delete that for now. This has just been done by eye. I didn't measure any threads or look online for any reference. I just thought that looks right from what I've seen in real life. So I've just created this helix. We probably don't need all of this because it's going through the beam, but just for ease, I can see what I'm doing. And the first thing I'm going to do is add an extrude modifier. And this will just extrude the spline up or down, depending on which way you want it. So you can see if we went down by 5, the faces would all overlap. That's a bit too much, so -1. I've just gone with +2, 2 mil. So we'll add an edit poly. And we'll select all the polygons, and the problem with a helix when you extrude it is that the faces are inside out, the normals are wrong. So if we select all faces and flip, we now have the normals facing outside, which is where we want them. And with all the polygons selected, we can add a bevel to this. We can do the bevel height by about 1 millimeter. That looks crazy, so we'll select by group, or sorry, by local normals. And then that's the bevel coming out, but we need to give it a bit of an angle, so we'll minus by 0.5 mil, and that should bring it down. Both sides, obviously, because we've extruded from a face, these inside edges aren't capped or bridged, which doesn't matter because they're going to be up against the bar, and it also keeps the geometry down. So now we have the basic shape. We could go through and we could stick an auto smooth on that, prevent indirect smoothing, smooths it out a little bit. We could stick an edit poly on there and loop these edges. We could quad chamfer. That's another great little plugin. We can stick 1.1, which is 1 mil chamfer, and we'll put a couple of iterations on that. We'll just put 2, stick an edit poly, and then hopefully when you smooth that, it should do it. But that's still a little bit faceted for me, so I personally would just stick a turbo smooth on the top. I know everyone's probably going to call me crazy because of geometry count, but I just like things to look correct. So obviously that turbo smooth means we're getting some harsh edging here. So I can select these edges. You can see where it's trying to smooth around as a curve. So we can ring around there and connect that and drag it along to the edge to create a nice tight edge. We'll just put it at like 95. Hopefully that should stop that. We can ring around there and just put another couple of cuts in, another couple of edge loops in, and hopefully that turbo smooth still hasn't fixed it yet. So we'll take this outside polygon and we can inset that by, let's just say 0.1, and that should keep that little square. There we go. So we can just do that top and bottom. That gives us a nice smooth curve. So we'll turn the turbo smooth iterations off and put render iterations on. So it only happens at render time, keeps the viewport working fast, and then depending on our views, what we're looking at, I can just turn that on or off in the scene. Because obviously it's not in view, it doesn't need that geometry, it doesn't need to be smooth. But hopefully that's just a quick way of showing you how to create a simple thread. In the next lesson, we're going to look at modeling the log burner that's going to go into the scene. The log burner is just from a reference image. We don't have anything more than what's in these photographs. So we're just going to do it by eye, get general sizes, and hopefully it'll come out well.